The Democratic Party today suffering a major blow by their Achilles heel, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin pulling the plug on the party's sweeping economic package riddled with tax hikes and climate change provisions, arguing the agenda will only fuel the inflation crisis sweeping our country. And a few hours later, Manchin clarified, saying that he'd wait until inflation numbers come out next month to determine whether or not he's on board. Meanwhile, after vowing to make Saudi Arabia a pariah on the world stage, President Biden is now asking them for a lifeline to bring oil prices down here in the U.S. But legacy media outlets aren't expecting much. NBC News saying that the odds are steep in his hunt for higher oil production, and Newsweek predicting the oil gamble will backfire. And another outlet from Politico to Barron's and MarketWatch all arguing the visit will do little to bring down the American oil prices at the pump. Well, joining us now to discuss is Republican Senate candidate for the state of Arizona, Jim Layman, who has spent decades in the energy sector, first by engineering large-scale power plants, and now he runs a solar company. Jim, welcome to the show. All right, so experts say that we're at least a few decades away from being completely unreliant on oil and gas. Yet it seems like Democrats are just rushing to eliminate fossil fuels altogether. And at the same time, we have Biden asking countries like Saudi Arabia to produce more oil. So either way, we are using oil. So why not give that responsibility to U.S. oil companies? And in turn, you create more jobs, clean fossil fuels here at home that we can give in turn to our allies as well. Why so resistant?
Well, it's a couple of things. One, no business experience in the Biden administration. You know, all politicians, lawyers, and of course you got Mark Kelly aiding and abetting it from here in Arizona, and that's part of my job. This election is get him out. As you said, I've got 30 years of energy experience. We have the most bountiful energy supplies on the planet right here in good old USA. We've got the cleanest refining and technology requirements and abilities here in the USA. So it is 0 cents other than the fact you've got to be anti-American, you got to be woke, or you got to be a Marxist in order to be pushing these jobs out of the U.S. into countries that, if you're concerned so much about the environment as we all like clean air and water, then it's one planet. Do it on the cleanest place on the planet, and that's here. This thing about running around the world begging for more oil is ridiculous. You know, we have it. We have natural gas, the most bountiful reserves in the world as well. So America's blessed with it. We just got to get business people to Washington and start treating America first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. The American Petroleum Institute had this conference call yesterday with reporters that tore into the president for rejecting their invitation to tour successful fossil fuel operations here in America. I mean, they say that they're getting mixed messages from the White House. Biden admits that he needs more oil, right? That's what he's begging Saudi for. We all know that. He's over there. It's not just Saudi, all these Gulf states. So it feels like what else needs to get done to make the argument, hey, let's do it here at home?
We had a beautiful balance going 2020, President Trump and American industry. You know, we were converting U.S. grid, for example, to 1% large-scale, unsubsidized, clean solar. And that was working just fine. But that's never going to be a panacea. You know, it may get to 30% of the grid. These guys are trying to change that overnight, and that doesn't work. Also, now they've moved to the electric vehicle side, trying to shove that down our throats. Let the economics play out. Let the American industry innovate. Let American consumers make those decisions. You know, we should have a much smaller, not more intrusive federal government. And certainly in arriving U.S. Senate January next year, if the Arizona voters put me in, as it looks like they're going to, then I will be making those changes. I'll do everything I can, guys, to get back to making sure that our consumers, and my goal would be less than $2 a gallon diesel or gasoline, which we have the refining capacity to do. We have the resources in the ground to do. We just need the will, and send as a business guy in D.C. to make sure that we start paying attention to our customers, which are the American taxpayers.
I do want to talk to you about the transition because you brought it up, and I want to play some sound from top liberal economist Larry Summers. Listen.
There are things that can be done to allow, in the short run, more pumping of natural gas and drilling for oil so that we increase supply and bring down those prices. Those steps need to be taken as part of our transition to renewables.
What would a realistic
Well, it should never have interrupted the progress we were making, right? We had a great blend back in 2020, moving gradually to low-cost solar in a portion. Again, these guys on the Marxist side, Democrat, believe that it can all be done in totality. It cannot. You know, we cannot handle more than 30% of the grid or produce more on the renewable side. Fossil fuel or whatever may downstream replace it with hydrogen otherwise is going to be here. Need to accept reality and physics and stop trying to reinvent things that just aren't physically possible. Absolutely, we could get back to drilling and natural gas as well for our power plants, but also oil and petroleum products right here in good old USA and be able to satisfy our own needs. I propose that coal, the greatest reserves in the world, are right here in America and Wyoming. We should be exporting that after supplying our own needs. Let's put 30% excise tax on it, go straight to paying down the national debt. Same thing with natural gas, which we have 300 years of known supply in the ground. Serve our own needs, let's export it to Europe, 30% excise tax. It's all of the above great for America. Great jobs, cleaner planet, doing it in the most cleanest place on the planet, as well as exporting and paying down our national debt. All win-win. Just need to get common sense back in the White House and U.S. Congress and Senate.
I was going to say, sounds pretty common sense to me. Jim, thanks a lot. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
You bet.